So here we have another sketchbook. This one was New Year's 2016, like 2015 to 2016. My friend Shiva actually donated this sketchbook to me because they weren't using it. So I took it and used it for the year, and I have had that marked out. Some stickers from that time, and using the first few pages as kind of just like a placeholder for sticky notes and whatnot. And the premise of this sketchbook was to draw fan art of things that inspire me, have inspired me in the past, and to do studies and, not worry too much about making artwork that could be made into like prints or anything like that. So just kind of exploration. So this one was little Nick Wiley. I think it's Nick Wilde from Zootopia, as well as the two, the red panda and regular panda from the White Serpent animation from way back when. I think it was in the 60s. I actually saw an essay by Miyazaki in the Starting Point book, and he references the White Serpent as sort of inspiration for him. So I kind of researched that and drew them, and kind of like their designs a lot. So I drew them up. And it reminded me of one of my favorite animations. I think it was Chuck Jones or Hanna-Barbera. They did a Jungle Book series, 3 stories based on the Jungle Book. So this was Rikki Tikki Tavi by Rudyard Kipling, and I did some fan art for that, mostly like studying the color palettes. So yeah, we have some more sketches. I drew my friend's pet dog, whose name is Black Dog. He's a German Shepherd. And New Year's Eve, I drew the night that Shiva gave me the sketchbook. I sketched it out while they were kind of prepping dinner, and we were waiting for the countdown. I started, or kind of revisited, using my sketchbook as also a, what do you call them, scrapbook as well, because I don't really do scrapbooking, so I sort of, use this one as multi-purpose because a lot of the drawings bled through, so I would use the backside for pasting in things I was doing at the time. So like I was working at school at the time, so I pasted some discounts I didn't use. Here I drew my friend Sarah when we were just starting to make friends. We would Skype, so I was drawing her when we did some Skype, as well as some references for different inspirational books, and like how to stay practicing drawing and get back into the habit of drawing. This is some art that I did for an art trade at my first artist alley in about 10 years. The last one I did, I was probably maybe 17 years old or so, maybe it hasn't been 10 years, maybe it's been like 7 or something, but yeah, so it was my first artist alley. Since then I did an art trade, and this is the art that I got from the exchange. And here I have some Princess Mononoke fan art. I have her kind of cleaning a kill in the river because I figured that would be part of her actual daily routine, and I really like kind of drawing characters, some of my favorite characters on screen, like what they would be doing off screen. And I realized that I really love Princess Mononoke, and I hadn't really drawn her, so I was doing my best to kind of draw more of the things I loved. So I kind of made it a point to draw more Ghibli characters and Miyazaki characters in particular. So here I have just a different day drawing, straight to ink drawing of Princess Mononoke. Some reminders and looser charcoal sketches or stuff like that. Just a lot of early kind of experimenting, like figuring out how this sketchbook's gonna work and look, and experimenting with different mediums. Here I found my old marker set, so I tried using that for a while until I decided I didn't like it because it bled through all my pages, so I went back to watercolor. And again, this book was a lot of studies. This was when I got to visit the LA Zoo, which is actually way smaller than the zoo that I'm used to in North Carolina. So I kind of realized that's something to appreciate about the town that I grew up with, that we had such a good zoo. And here we have more photo studies, studies from Loish, studies from Sentai. I really like the orange, like this design for an orange ranger. I thought that was a super cute design, so I did some of that. I drew a sort of toad. And I like the idea of him having tattoos of flies all over his tummies, like a bayou toad maybe. Just more sketches and more half-finished, half-thought-out drawings. This was when I went to the Denver Art Museum and we saw the samurai exhibit with my friend Orion. And the entire thing was narrated by the Tengu. I thought that was pretty fun. Like a fun take on it. This was almost road tripping back across the country from California back to North Carolina. And I got stopped in Boulder, Colorado because my car had some trouble, so I rented one, and we spent the day kind of going on a little trip, making the best of it. More drawings, starting to kind of figure out what I'm drawing, because I was starting, like, it's pretty non-linear, because I would draw, one side of the sketchbook, but then I wanted to go back and draw on the other side of the sketchbook paper. And so this is sort of later on in my process of like thinking about, what if I, draw non-fandom things and like things that I appreciate, so like cute cupcakes, stuff like that. And figuring out my style of like obnoxiously adorable. Again, more exploration. This one was for an icon from my partner's Twitch channel. Road trip drawings, a drawing in the car while my partner drove. Some fan art for Princess that I really liked that comic, so I drew a couple of fan arts for it. Thought it was super cute. I did a cosplay of Judy Hopps, and so this was planning out that, as well as I watched Fullmetal Alchemist for the first time. Well, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and I watched it in its entirety for the first time. I had seen Fullmetal before that, but not in its entirety. This was a drawing that my friend Varick did for me when I bought some stationery and some stickers, Post-it notes from him. This was pretty early on in the sketchbook. I did some studies from Steven Universe. I really like the way Rebecca Sugar draws her simple concept sketches, so I was doing some studies of that. More fan art and a drawing of one of my friend's nightmares. I found myself drawing more non-fandom things later on in the sketchbook as my sort of like my focus starts to shift. So like we have more fan art here, more studies of artists. This was actually my two of my three table mates for this summer, Brittany and Alex. And then a drawing of Hiei. That one time he was green with eyes all over him, and then never again the entire series. More Loish studies. This was actually a digital illustration she did, and I was trying to replicate it with watercolor. This was the original character that I was revisiting, kind of trying to draw myself out of a slump and like trying different things. Obviously, not really a whole lot of inspiration in there, but letting myself draw bad, because that's how you get yourself out of a slump. I did some storyboard redraws from Kiki, more studies of concept art, and a sticker from my friend Alex from his first stickers for cons. This was a Magic Pixie drawing. I took a redraw of like Meteora, the cover art for that, because I was starting to get back into Linkin Park right before the passing of their singer. Some Pokemon drawings. I did these pretty much during October 2016, so I was drawing a lot of Pokemon and thinking a lot about Pokemon, so I was doing a lot of like extra sketches around that. This was from Golden Boy. I really liked that anime. It was really gorgeous. Had lovely character designs, and so I was drawing some of my favorite girls from that series. In watercolor and ink. This was actually a pasted, like not failed sketch, but like a sketch that I ended up changing later on. So I drew like each page that I drew the theme, or I wrote down the theme and then included which Pokemon that I had left to draw. So I was like marking them off on a separate page. And so these are what those are from. This is from when I lived. I worked in a clean room where I worked 12-hour shifts and had to like fully garb up from head to toe to make sure like I didn't have any hair or skin touching the microchips that I was helping dice. That was a very, probably the one of the hardest jobs I've done, because I got in trouble for drawing on like my latex gloves, and in my notebook, I had a notebook for taking notes down, and I would draw on that, and I got in trouble for that. Maybe I'll post. I should do a sketchbook flip through of that. That would be funny. Sexy things. I was drawing sexy things. Let's just skip right on past those. I drew Tifa based on a little like a model you could like figure in. You could pose in different action poses, and so I would take pictures and then like draw based on those references, just trying to draw from references, and in lieu of having a real model. And also to do some Final Fantasy fan art, because I hadn't yet, and kind of taking the kind of copying the style of the old traditionally drawn Final Fantasy art, just seeing if I could. More sketches, some Magic Pixie Dream Girl kind of exploration. Some Adventure Zone, Yuri on Ice. They keep talking, in season 1, they kept talking about Yuri's horrible blazer and his suit that was so unfashionable. So I kept waiting for them to go shopping, and they never did. So I drew different outfits for Yuri to wear, and I kind of like this third one with like, a classy, nerdy hipster look to it. Some Dirty Pair. I didn't ink that one. I'll probably go back and ink it eventually. And then some notes to myself, as I kind of tried to open up my sketchbook to being more different, just less restricted to just drawings, and like letting it be more of a journal. So I was doing some of that. These are some guest art. So I had friends come and draw on my sketchbook, because I find that very inspiring and encouraging. To find drawings that like a friend did. So these are some that my friends drew. Drew some more Hunter x Hunter, some more Hunter x Hunter fan art. It had been about 10 years, because probably longer than that, 13 years, because I grew up with Hunter x Hunter. After watching Yu Yu Hakusho on Toonami, I found a group online that liked Hunter x Hunter back in the day in like 2006. So I drew a bunch of Hunter x Hunter fan art back then, and then moved on, because it was on hiatus for ages, and then now it's 2017 and everybody likes Hunter x Hunter, and I feel like an old curmudgeon, because I'm like, oh, wait, this obscure show is popular now. I adore it, and I'm very excited about it. So this is some Yu Yu Hakusho fan art based on the eclipse, based on the meme of Yusuke wearing his glasses with the fake subtitle, your words can't hurt me, these glasses are Gucci. Porco Rosso! I love the crowd scenes. I actually drew this part of the illustration, just the two characters, while we were watching the film during a snow day, and then I filled out the rest of the crowd scenes just to see how cluttered and chaotic I could make it, because I really enjoy the crowd scenes in that film. I was doing some more art therapy, so I had fun drawing some Yu Hakusho, and then like this was a redraw of an old drawing I did, probably one of the first fan art drawings I did in like 2003. I was like 10 years old, and the growth is significant, the art growth. Some comic ideas about like a little comic strip about a witch who keeps summoning condescending asshole demons, as well as a tarot reading my friend did for me. More studies. This one's a concept sketch by Miyazaki. The End of Vine. This was just one final vine that I drew and uploaded like a time lapse of, just to say like, let's keep in touch when it finally got shut down. Valentine's, February 2016 or 2017. I found some new, very like high opera rose, pink gouache paint, and I fell in love with it. So I was using it for everything for a while. Some more sort of magic pixie exploration. For me, like hair has been a pretty big part of my like personal growth and development, of like being able to style and cut my own hair. So it's kind of like putting that on display here. I don't know if she'll actually cut her own hair, but I was kind of playing with that idea. Cotton Candy Garnet. I adore Cotton Candy Garnet, and again I had that rose opera rose pink gouache, so I wanted to play with the pinks and the blues and see how vibrant I could get my colors. More doodles. This one was when we were doodling with friends and just playing around with different markers and brush pens and stuff like that. And this is some Magic Pixie, more exploration. We're getting closer. This is probably like August or early September, so I'm getting closer to October 2017, when I was doing my comic. So I'm exploring different things for that. These I actually drew in January, fairly early on in the year, but I was in such a sad place. So I drew two things that I adore. So my favorite and first generation of Pokemon is the Johto Pokemon games. So I drew that with Yu Hakusho characters and had fun with that. It was very cute. And I actually turned them into stickers, so that was fun. This, my little self-doubt plant comes back and makes his appearance. I love like him being this like smarmy little plant, just like questioning whether or not you can do something. So my pixie girl is getting a little scared of him, but I'm sure she'll come back from it. This was based on a day job that I got. So like 8 months unemployed and underemployed really, and you know, I have the first interview and he says, "You're hired, but you know, you should know that, you know, we work with felons who've committed sex crimes." And this came right at the heels of me kind of coming out about some abuse that like I have endured, and you know, being underemployed, I couldn't say no to $18 an hour, and like it has actually been a safe job, but it was something I definitely needed to take home and process. And the way that I process things a lot of times is through comics. So I made the comic strip for kind of to mentally process that. More ideas for comics and zines. This, specifically for the dirty drawings earlier. I was making an idea about making a zine full of sex and nasty stuff. Ore Monogatari, or like My Love Story, was such a cute anime, and it took me probably a year or two to get into it. But when I watched it, it was so cute, and their relationship was so wholesome that I had to draw it. And there was the bikini episode, the beach episode rather. They hold up different bathing suits for her to wear, and she doesn't actually wear them, so I wanted to draw them out because I thought it'd be hilarious. We moved into our apartment and they enforce that we have cable. So, you know, the only channel I watch, if any, ever, is Cartoon Network, and Cartoon Network played nothing but Teen Titans Go. So this was the episode where they all dressed up as their favorite Justice League characters and went on adventures, and I was drawing that. Class Clown, Alola starters. My friend Brittany drew one of Rowlet that said bow ties are cool, so I drew one that said Class Clown for Poplio. And then Alex was going to draw the Fire Cat as a third sticker, and we'd all kind of like have all three starters. So this one is a sticker. You can buy that one as well as the Rowlet one. This was actually an anxiety drawing. Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho is kind of like my soul food art inspiration. So like when I can't draw anything else or can't think of anything else to draw, I can always draw him because it's super fun and easy. But I was having this problem where like I couldn't draw his eyes. So instead I improvised and drew plants growing out of his eyes, and surrounded him with basil because that's my favorite herb. And then here I have some more Yuri on Ice. Because we binge watched that one night while eating pizza, and I drew this because I thought it would be really, really exhausting to go through the Olympics and or not even get that far, but go to the Grand Prix ice skating. So of course, athletes got to get their naps in. Some more quotes, and that one time I worked at Starbucks for like a hot minute. The Wendy's brands and McDonald's brands were going around and people were cosplaying them and drawing fan art for them, so I kind of drew like a fan art of the Starbucks logo of that, the mermaid. Here I woke up from a nightmare, or like actually I was falling, that place where like right before you fall asleep and you can kind of feel your thoughts kind of mulling around in like half dreamland. So that's what these guys are, like shadow dragons. They remind me a lot of the Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. So I was kind of drawing those and getting an idea of like how to draw them and how to picture them. It's kind of hard to see here, but the little sketches of Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. I really enjoyed that show. And this is a comic from one morning I woke up and I was heading to the kitchen. My partner sneezed and dabbed, and it was quite hilarious. For this, it was in May, the start of the cosplay season, sort of. So some friends and I planned an AU cosplay of Sailor Moon, and we all did sort of like poodle skirt Sailor Scouts. So that was the sort of preliminary drawing of that. When Diva joined Heroes, so the Storm. And then this is, I was drawing some My Hero Academia while I was drawing that, or while I was watching it. This was more kind of like when I go and hang out with people and do sketchbook meetups, I don't always draw like super organized or like organized thoughts. So this was something that Alex doodled out for me and then had me draw in color while we were hanging out. Some more Magic Pixie Girl concept art, as well as like kind of thumbnailing out the pages and like the scene changes, as well as 2017 was definitely the year of us getting into My Brother and Me. So the McElroy lean is something I noticed in first Clint's old studio photography, and then also Griffin did it, and then I also saw Justin do it, so I drew those out, as well as some like sort of some Final Pams and Susan Crushbones. And then there was a midnight comedy. I can't remember this show. It was not my cup of tea, but there was a choice moment where they talked about an airline for millennials and like a magazine you'd find on an airline for millennials or something like that, and it says Griffin kind of did his best and like just fucking channel every pent up millennial nerve in his body and just blurt it out. Sorry about the avocado toast. It fucking tastes good. So I drew an homage to that scene, as well as some of my self-care rituals. Almost in the form of a comic, but, you know, just kind of highlighting some of those things that I do. So, like, ASMR, baths, and then, you know, cleaning up and drawing. That's one of mine. I learned the term of scapegoat, so I kind of drew a drawing based on that, as well as some early Taco and Loop designs and Adventure Zone character designs based on, like, has a beard, don't got no beard. Yu Hakusho sketches of, like, the villains and demons. Like, I love the reject demon designs, and that was some of my choice favorites of some punk who turns out to be some Cthulhu type monster, as well as a demon who he's so hardcore his Liberty Spikes are actual horns. And then we're getting to the end. I made a pocket just to hold anything that I might need, extra papers, as well as some designs for a website that didn't happen, a little Mute Ichigo that I didn't end up coloring, but I might finish off, and then that's the end of the book. So thanks for joining me for this sketchbook, and I've got, you know, plenty more on my page of other flip throughs from the sketchbook, so check those out, and thanks for tuning in.